Good morning. Happy Friday. Yesterday I had a sub, so I got here a little bit early today, and I was pleasantly surprised. I came in and the date was already changed, the room was clean, all my little snowmen are hanging up already, and they look so cute. So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about math. We are in Math and Focus Unit 5, so if you use Math and Focus, you'll know that we are in addition and subtraction strategies to use within 20. So we kind of start slow, and what we're doing in this chapter is we are really building up those strategies and different ideas and ways for students to be able to solve these problems. And then eventually we'll move that within 40, within, I don't know if it goes right to 100, but there's another step. But if we can build those strategies now, it will help them as we get to higher numbers. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the math block today and some of the activities that we are doing for addition and subtraction. Okay, so when we talk about math in my classroom, the typical kind of schedule is we do our math block right after lunch. So we come back from lunch at 12:15 and we have till about 1:05. So about 45-50 minutes when all is, said and done before they go to specials. So the first thing my students do is they come in and they will come to the carpet and we do our digital calendar. So I will show you that in a bit. After digital calendar, we have a math warm-up where we are usually either doing some sort of math talk or we are practicing on some fluency, but some sort of warm-up to kind of get our students ready to go. And then we go into the explicit teaching and lesson of the day. And that explicit teaching for the last couple weeks has been these different strategies. I'm going to teach you a new strategy for how to either add or subtract within 20. I'm going to show you how to do it. We will practice doing it. I will show them, I'll model it, and then I'll have them practice either with students, with a partner, in a group. They'll practice with me, depending on kind of what we're doing. And then I have them go independently practice. So they are getting a lot of that practice. And when they're doing their independent work for that day, if it is a day that I explicitly taught a brand new strategy, I really want them to try to apply that strategy for that day's independent work. So I'm kind of looking to see if we can actually follow through with that strategy. When we're just doing a review or a warm-up, I allow them to use any strategy that they've learned. Because again, right now my goal is to teach them strategies, show them how to use them, and then we'll see, what one sticks. So in terms of strategies, let me show you my anchor charts. I had shared this, I think, in maybe a video a week or two ago, but this is our addition strategies chart that I have. It does not have every single strategy we have taught, like it doesn't have number line on here, but I went ahead and picked a few. So we have pictures or cubes. I can use my fingers. I'm gonna talk to you about that one in a minute, especially when we get to subtraction. I can count on, so we put the bigger number in our head, we count on. I can make a 10. I can use our doubles facts, and I can use our doubles plus 1 facts. So I had already explicitly taught each of these, like each one was its own kind of day. And then we go ahead and practice using that strategy, using games, using different worksheets, and I'm looking for them to be able to see if they can apply each of these strategies. Now, for my subtraction strategies anchor chart, I actually have to make that. So let me make that right now. No rulers were used. Okay, so I just finished my subtraction strategies anchor chart, and I'm really annoyed because I forgot to put that we can count on, and that was a huge strategy that I want my students to know. I'm trying to figure out, okay, we have pictures or cubes, using fingers, and the using fingers one, I still put on both of my anchor charts because a lot of my students are still at that level where they are using their fingers. I explained that if we're using fingers to show the whole thing and then the difference, we can only do it within 10 because we only have 10 fingers. But I also talk about how we can use our fingers to help us count back and use these other strategies as well. So I do keep that up there. I can count back. So we put the bigger number in our head. We count backwards. Using a number line is the one I added here because my students tend to use a number line a lot more often with subtraction than they do with addition. And then I can subtract from 10. This is one I taught last week. So if we have 15 minus 9, that might be harder for them to solve, but they can break that 15 into 10 and 5, and we know that 10 minus 9 is 1, and then we have that 1 left over with our 5, which is 6. And then this one here is I can use addition, 14 minus 9 equals 5. So here I really want students understanding the relationship between addition and subtraction. And a number bond is a great way to show that. So if we know 14 and 9, we're looking for this missing part, we know it's the same. We know that 14 minus 9 is the same as 9 plus what equals 14. So I think when I go over this with students today and just kind of review all the strategies, I'm going to talk about counting on, and I might kind of add it here. Like if we know that 9 plus what equals 14, we can count on in our head. We do know that strategy. I'm just bummed I did not add it to my anchor chart. So those are the main strategies. Those are going to be the main teaching lessons that I am doing in class with my students. And I've already done most of them, so we're kind of on like a review week. I say review, but again, each day kind of only had one, so we definitely need more practice with all of them. So we're going to be doing this for a little bit. And then we're also going to go into story problems and figuring out what the story problem wants us to solve, and then using those strategies to help us solve them. So now that you know kind of what we're teaching, let me share my math block and how it works. But I'm going to start with the independent practice. I always like my students to do independent practice with this fact fluency because, again, our goal is for them to be automatic with it. Yes, we walk them through that concrete, the representational, but then again, the goal is for them to get it quickly with that abstract learning. And one of my favorite resources to use is IXL. I am so happy to be partnering with IXL today because honestly, we use it on a daily and weekly basis here in my classroom. I love how instead of worksheets every time, I can assign ready-made digital activities that directly align to the standards and skills I am teaching. Let me show you. Now, to show you how I would go ahead and assign these skills to my students, here I am on my dashboard. And if I scroll down, you can see 4 of the skills that my students are going to be working on. So we have subtracting doubles. And if I just hover over it, you can kind of see what that's going to look like. I have adding doubles with models. So not only do I want my students to be able to add doubles, but I also want them to be able to subtract using that doubles knowledge. We have complete the addition sentence. And I love this one because it has the visual here of the tens frame. So there are 6 dots on the frame. How many more would it take to make 10? So 6 plus what equals 10? And then we also have one for counting back to subtract. Now, these are just some of the strategies I have taught so far. If I want to go ahead up to learning, and then I go to math and skills, I want to show you, if we go to first grade, all the different skills that there are here for your students to go ahead and practice. And any one of these with the little green bar graph here means I have already taught it to my students, and I can actually click that and see the data. The highlighted ones are ones that are currently assigned, but there are just so many different activities. Here we have addition and subtraction word problems. You can see all the different headings. Here's the addition strategies up to 20. So we have related addition facts, number lines, adding 3 numbers with making 10. And if you scroll down, you can see the same thing with subtraction strategies. So my plan is to have students do this independent practice, and then I can go in, see how they're doing, and assign different strategies. Now, just to show you one that we will be using in the next week or so, we have some addition and subtraction word problems. So when you go into it, I love that IXL makes it easy for independence by allowing you to have this audio here.
And cooked some eggs. She ate 3 of them. Now there is 1 egg left.
Because as you know, if you teach first grade, language can get in the way of solving the problems. So not only do we have the audio here, but they also have some instructions on how to solve it. So here students can click Learn with an example, and they can actually see how it's solved. Here's the questions and the solution. And again, with all of this audio and the visuals to help them. It's a really great component of IXL. If you want to try out IXL with your students or kids, they're actually offering a 30-day free trial for teachers and an exclusive 20% off for parents for the first month or year that you sign up. So whether you are a teacher or a parent, you can take advantage of all of IXL's core subjects like math, science, and language arts just using the link in my description. All right, so once we come back from lunch, the first thing students do is they actually get on the rug and they face the board for calendar. I think I told you this before, but I am doing a digital calendar. So every month my calendar switches. I have a little picture of my dog, Sully. This is obviously a cartoon, but we open it up and we do the same slides every day. So today, this is what we're going to do. My calendar helper comes up to the board. We always have a little movable object, and they have to see where they're going to move the snowflake. So they're going to move it to 19. And then we'll say, is today Thursday? No, it's Friday. It's still January. It's the 19th, and it is 2024. The next slide, we just move these. If today is not Thursday, we'll change it to Friday. And then what was yesterday? What will tomorrow be? And so on. We've got a big day today because it is the 90th day of school. So not only in our piggy bank are we going to exchange 5 pennies for a nickel, but also over here, we're going to move our tens block over and exchange those 10 ones for a 10. So it'll be a big day. Then we have our weather person come up and they decide what the weather was like today, and we move this. At the beginning of each week, my new weather helper will make a prediction. So this week, they kept the same prediction that they had the week before, which was the most popular weather in January will be snowy, sorry. So they kept that prediction. Next week, we'll see if that prediction will change and we'll keep adding. And then we do our Pledge of Allegiance. So I have a flag helper who stands under the flag, and we all stand and face them, and we go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance together. So it only takes about, 5-6 minutes to go through all of this. We do it pretty quickly, and that is how we start every single math block. Next, we go into our math warm-up, and I explained this earlier, but so often we do a math talk, where I am kind of posing a problem to the class. I have an entire set of math talks that I use, and we use this so often. But right now, sometimes I'm also focusing on a little bit of fluency, and this is a fun game I learned from my math interventionist last week, or my math curriculum. I don't remember her exact role, but it's called, our main math person here at school, we learned this game, and I thought it was such a good one for my students because they are still struggling to count by twos quickly. So we're gonna watch the Scratch Garden YouTube video. It's like 1.5 minutes counting by twos, and then we'll play this game. Let me show you. Okay, so all I did for this is I went ahead and printed out a bunch of boxes that had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way to 20. And so what my students will do, let me sit down. Let me get a little comfortable. Okay, my students will start by pointing to each one, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and then I have them count backwards, 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. They have to do that. So they're with a partner, so they're each are gonna do that. Then one partner will close their eyes. They'll take these little cards and they will cover one up. Now, when the other student opens their eyes, they can guess what number it is, and then they still have to count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 20, 18, 16, 14, 12. You get it. And once they do that successfully, they can see if they guessed that number correctly, and then the other partner will go, and they will cover some up. Now, I have about enough little cards here. You can just do index cards, like cut in half. I have enough little cards here for students to cover up about half the numbers. So then when they're done and they've completed it successfully, they will remove the cards and play again and try to cover up different numbers. If it were the beginning of the year and we were still working on counting, you could totally have that with just numbers 1 to 10 at first. If you're working on sequencing, if you're a kindergarten teacher, you could do this with multiples of 5, multiples of 10. You could do this with multiplication facts if you are even older. Not if you're older, if you're an older grades teacher, you could do that as well. So I just thought that was such a fun activity that she shared that right away I was like, boom, I can apply that in my classroom immediately. So we did that on Tuesday, and we're going to do it again today. They did pretty well with it Tuesday, and I like how much, again, fluency, that's what we're working on here. I like how fluent they became, so I want to see that progressing. Another couple games we've been playing a lot include Quiz Trade with all sorts of different skills. I've shared Quiz Trade before, but essentially every student will get a card. This one is with doubles facts, obviously. So we can do doubles plus 1, adding 0. I like to do it for quick fluency. I don't want these cards to be ones where students are spending a long time trying to solve it and find the answer. So these ones are supposed to be quick, and I always write the answer on the back. So for Quiz Trade, everybody gets a card. They have to walk around the room. They find a partner. If I found my partner, they would say, what's 5 plus 5? I'd say 10. They check it. I would say, what's 10 plus 10? They'd say 20. I check it. And then they trade cards and go find a new partner. So they just keep going around. Another game we played a lot this week, I actually shared this on Instagram. Actually, every week on Instagram, my Instagram's right here. I go ahead and do just a little weekly snapshot of some photos that of things we did for the week. So here we just played a memory game, and I've shared this tip before, but I always, on my desktop, on my computer, I just have like a blank Google Slides with a bunch of grids, like a bunch of boxes that I can just type things in. We use it for, Quiz Trade. If I don't write them on index cards, I can use them for a memory game. I can use them as quick flashcards, whatever we need. So for this one, I just typed in a bunch of addition and subtraction equations. My goal was, we played memory, so they all flipped them over, and students had to find the match. Now, when I did this, we have 6 plus 3, and the match was 10 minus 1. So we had worked a lot on balanced equations. Does this side equal this side, especially with addition and subtraction? So that is how I kind of made this one. We have another 10 minus 1, 4 minus 5, 3 plus 3, and then 10 minus 4 would be here. So we were also working on fluency with those tens facts, 10 minus what equals what, and then addition within 10. So this is also a game we played. I already prepped all of my addition task cards to 20, so now I need to prep all of my subtraction task cards to 20. So give me a quick little break while I go ahead and do that. Okay, they are prepped. These ones I need to get another case for. I'll do that in a minute. So I just want to show you quickly. As always with my task cards, I try to have students working on different skills. Some are going to be more concrete. Some are going to use like number lines. Some are going to be more abstract, but we're working on different strategies. So with eating cookies, we have a little cookie sheet here, and students will have to first go ahead and draw. They can also use little pom-poms, little manipulatives here. However they want to do that, if they're ready to represent it with circles, I will happily have them do that. So they'll draw 19, cross out or erase 7, and find the difference. They'll do that for all of these. True or false, for this one, they have to figure out whether or not this equation is true or if it is false. And I want to see them prove it. So I want to see 18, maybe 6 are erased or crossed out, however they want to do it. Does it equal 11? Yes or no, and circle. Here we have count and cross out. So here it is already represented for them. We have 10, we're going to take away 4. So they need to cross out 4 and add it here. This one is bunny hops. This one has a number line. Now the number line is pretty small. So we shall see if I'm going to replace that. But right now we have 14 minus 6, so they can find 14, count back 6, and go ahead and put the difference here. Subtract and clip is just like add and clip, where we have a difference in the middle, and students have to go around and find all of the subtraction equations that equal 9. And then last but not least, we have our missing parts, and this is that one where I want students to really understand the difference between, or understand the relationship between addition and subtraction. So we have 15 and 3. I want them to be able to solve for the missing part and then also recognize that 15 minus 3 equals 12 and 12 plus 3 equals 15, and write both here. So this one is really going to be for that practice, for that skill. Now I kind of just dove into talking about the task cards, but I should point out that after the warm-up, of course, is when I do that explicit teaching. So the task cards are really only going to be used after I've taught all the strategies on a day like today, where we have gone through each of the addition strategies, each of the new subtraction strategies that I did on that anchor chart. And now they're going to practice them. They're going to review them. So we did a math warm-up, and then what I like to do for the task cards, because I have 6 for subtraction, some other skills only have 5, is I actually split my group into 2 parts. And I will have half of my class work with a partner to complete one of the task cards, and when they're done, they can come back in and turn it in. And the other half of my class actually goes and plays on IXL. So they are solving the strategies that I starred for them, and they are doing that independently. And then if they do finish, they can go to the IXL games. So they are doing something independently. And then after about 10 minutes, I go ahead and trade. And so the students on their iPads put their iPads away. They come pick with a partner their subtraction task cards, and then they complete that while the other students are on IXL. So I like to have it kind of flip-flopped, and it also keeps the noise level down because half of our students are quietly working independently. Also, of course, I should say that during that time is when I am either working with students who need help with some of these, or I'm just like pulling an intervention group if we're working on something else. That typically doesn't happen. I'm typically working on the skill that we're teaching, just down to their level or with that teacher support. So sometimes I will just pull a group. Like if I had some students that were really struggling here with missing parts, I would pull them back and I would be there teaching and doing it with them. Or I would have my aide with a group as well. So we're lucky in that respect where we have enough manpower to kind of help the students that need help. So that is what today looks like. It's kind of a review day. Come in, do calendar, review our twos, and then we will go ahead and practice all sorts of different subtraction strategies with our task cards and on IXL independently. So that is today. There are tons of other games that we often play that aren't just task cards. We kind of do print and play partner games. That way everyone is working on one skill at a time, and they're just doing it with a partner. I have a bunch in my subtraction pack here, and then I have subtraction print and play. So these are some like hands-on activities as well as games with different subtraction strategies. And then this one here is just our subtraction print and play games, which are just fun and easy to print out and have students really practice those skills. So last but not least, let me just show you, this is what we're gonna do on Monday. Like I said, we really went through the strategies first. We did talk a little bit about addition story problems. So we're going to formally introduce subtraction story problems. So we always start, these are my math teaching slides, and they walk through like the same 6 parts. So if we start with let's think, we know what an addition story problem is. What do you think a subtraction story problem is? Then I have an example here, so we'll talk about that. And then again, explicit teaching. So let's learn a subtraction story problem is a story that includes a problem that needs to be solved through subtraction. I've been teaching my students to visualize first. So we close our eyes and we're like, what is actually happening here? What are you seeing? So I'll have them do that, and I'll have them close their eyes, turn to a partner and share what they saw in their vision. And then I'll kind of just show them here how to do this. And then we talk about identifying the numbers. What does that mean? Okay, there were 6 birds resting in the tree, 5 flew away, and so on. And then after we figure out what's happening, we need to figure out how we can solve it. So what equation that looks like. I have a bunch of student mats for them to use that I put in like those clear plastic sleeves I'll show you. And I say that I will draw a picture using circles to represent the story problem. So 6 cars are parked in a parking lot, 2 cars drive away and go home. How many are left? So I will show them exactly how to do this while they have their mat. Let me grab it. These are used and abused, but it'll work. So I just printed out the subtraction story mat, and then I just slide them in here, and they use their whiteboard and marker. So they'll do a couple with me as I explain this. If I have students that cannot seem to do the circles correctly, I will give them cubes. So this lets them kind of go back to that concrete, but many of my students should be able to do the representational right now. After we do the one together, I have a bunch of examples here that we're going to do together. So these are all I set up here, but they're within 10, but I'm gonna change some of these numbers to be higher, so that way it's within 20. And I'll have my students show it on their mat, describe how to solve it, and then go ahead and solve. And then the last thing they're gonna do is they are going to get a subtraction story problem with a partner. And I'm gonna shuffle up these cards, they're differentiated, so some are already within 20, some are only within 10. So here, like I said, I will pass out one of these cards, and students will get together to try to make their own story problem. We did this before when we were doing story problems within 10, and it was just a really fun way for them to show what they're learning, come up with a story problem that works, and then present it to the class. And then at the end, we definitely won't get to this part because the story problem takes a long time for them to create. But here we just have an independent sheet that I will have students do probably on Tuesday. And again, when they're doing this, they can come up with whatever strategy they want to be able to solve. So yeah, that is basically what a day in the life of my math block looks like. I just wanted to share some of those strategies with you, some of those games. I really only shared a couple of games. There's so many that I could share that we love. Like I said, most of them come from my print and play packets that we play all the time. So as always, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.